Welcome to the first edition of Naharjito Bookathon presented in association with the Raisoni Foundation. In this session, we are going to explore the book Coaching, the Secret Code to Uncommon Leadership. This book illustrates how a leader can maximize people's potential through coaching, fostering creativity and innovation while inspiring teams to perform at their best. It highlights the balance between managing and guiding, appraising and supporting teammates. In a VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, it advocates for a leadership model that supports and guides rather than instruct and control. With tips, it research backed insights, and engaging anecdotes, it is an essential read for leaders and aspiring leaders looking to excel in their roles. Our speaker for the session is Ruchira Chaudhary. She is an alumnus of the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. Ruchira straddles the corporate and academic world. She is a leading executive coach, adjunct faculty at several top-tier business schools, and runs a boutique consulting firm focused on organizational strategy solutions. She has over 2 decades of experience in emerging markets in Asia, the Middle East, and North Africa. During her corporate career, Ruchira held leadership roles in Medtronic and AIG in Singapore, Qatar Telecom in Qatar, and TCS in India. She teaches as affiliate faculty at several business schools, including SMU, NUS, and IMD in Singapore, and most recently, London Business School. Ruchira frequently gets featured in and writes for leading business journals like HBR. She is the author of Coaching, the Secret Code to Uncommon Leadership, commissioned by Penguin Random House and endorsed by luminaries like Sheryl Sandberg and Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. The book released globally in April 2021 to much acclaim. Our moderator for the session, Mr. Manish Kumar, is a senior commission editor at Penguin Random House, India. In his long publishing career, apart from Penguin, he has worked with companies such as Oxford University Press and Elsevier. He has curated as well as published several bestsellers and worked with some eminent authors. A trained lawyer, Manish is an alumnus of St. Stephen's College, JNU, Delhi School of Economics, and NLSIU, Bangalore. Over to the moderator to take the session forward.
Thank you everyone for joining us here today for this interesting session on coaching and leadership. First of all, I would like to thank the Nahar Jito Bookathon for organizing this brilliant session. This is actually a privilege for us to be associated with this prestigious organization. I am Manish. I represent Penguin Random House India, and today we are going to discuss a very interesting topic, which has been taken from our best-selling book, Coaching: The Secret Code to Uncommon Leadership. So the book is about coaching and leadership, and it has been written by Ruchira Chaudhary, who is not only a great author but also a very good friend of mine. Ruchira is an alumna of the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. She has had a long corporate career. In her long corporate career, she has worked with some of the best companies in the world. She created a nice niche for herself by stepping into the world of coaching, executive coaching rather, and she now runs a boutique consultancy firm also. But I'm happy that she has finally started her journey as an author, having written her first bestseller. Ruchira has worked with some of the well-known leaders in the world, and this book actually shows her deep experience in leadership coaching, and she captures the amazing insights of different different leaders from across the globe in this book. So Ruchira actually needs no introduction, but yeah, this was a little introduction that I could
It's a
share
long
with
introduction.
you. And so I look forward to working with Ruchira more. In fact, we have already started discussing some more ideas. I'll discuss that later on during our conversation. So welcome, Ruchira. Welcome here, and it has always been a pleasure interacting with you. So welcome.
Thank you, Manish. Thank you for the very sort of kind but also very long introduction. I've been very fortunate to have Manish as my moderator today because he's also, my editor. So when the organizers were very kindly saying, choose your own moderator, I said, who best than the person who has a same passion for the book as I do, right? As writers, our books become our babies. That's our passion. That's the message we want to spread to the world. In this case, it's about, coaching being that missing link um, between a good leader and a fantastic one, right? An average leader and an awesome one, a common leader and an uncommon one. That's what the book is called, Coaching the Secret Code to Uncommon Leadership. Now, what we're really saying in the book is that uh, every leader can take others along in the journey, and when they do that, when they take others along, when they take others higher, they elevate themselves in the process. When they shine the light on others, they shine even brighter. That's what good coaching is, right? And so, not everybody has the same sense of passion as Manish did. And so, I thought it was a great partnership writing this book. And while I gave him a lot of grief, I'm a very high maintenance author. We laugh about it. And also, the entire Penguin team. I consider the team to be fantastic friends. In the span of the years that we worked together, it's been a great partnership with Manish, with my other publishers, and yes, very excited to be writing the next book with them as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ruchira, for such nice words. In fact, I think I totally agree with you that it has been a great journey together on this book. Yeah, there were some issues, there were some differences, but I think all those differences made the book even better. And I must thank you for pointing out all those deficiencies that were there on our part. And going forward, obviously, and hopefully, we will be fixing all those weaknesses. But as you, because you are a coach yourself, so you know every lesson is unique, and uh, every opportunity obviously um, is unique, and how your mistakes can actually become opportunities for you,
Yeah.
unique opportunities. So hopefully next time, because we have already discussed it, we have already started discussing your next book. So hopefully next time we'll manage the book really well. And I'm absolutely passionate about your next book actually, and I think that book will be an instant bestseller like this one. uh, so Ruchira, thank you so much again for sparing your time. So I would now would like to enlighten us as to why you decided to write your first book. Because you have been writing for HBR, you have won several awards, you have been a recipient of some of the most prestigious awards ever awarded to women leaders. And you have been writing columns also, you have been writing for HBR, you have been writing for other business magazines and dailies. So, what actually made you think about writing a book?
It's thank you. It's an interesting question, and for those who have read the book or will read the book, I have tried to answer a little bit of that in the preface. So the book is actually a culmination of many things. It's my own experiences, of course, my life experiences, but in late 2013, I was working for a very large financial services organization here in the region in Singapore, where I live, and I think, long story short, it was one of the organizations that made me understand why I never wanted to work for that kind of corporate job again. I felt that there was a complete vacuum of any kind of value addition. I was in a boardroom once in Japan, and the APAC head started screaming at me in front of everybody. And that made me really question, is this what I want to do? And I felt that I wasn't really growing as a person. My manager wasn't adding value. And really, this kind of behavior, why were we even tolerating it, right? So, long story short, lots of a very toxic work culture. And I decided this is not what I wanted to do. And at the same time, University of Chicago, Booth School of Business, where I studied, they were looking for an executive coach to come and sort of help with their expanding executive education business in Asia Pacific. And then they said to me, "Come and join us." And my first response was, I am a hard nosed strategy consultant. I don't know the first thing about coaching. I'm certified. People say I'm good at helping them, you know, clarify their thoughts. I take away a lot of noise, but I'm not a coach. I mean, yeah, it's one thing to be certified, it's another to be one. But this whole sort of experience, when I realized, anyways, I was leaving the corporate world, let me try academia. And for that little time that I decided to do this as an experiment, and I went and joined the University of Chicago in Singapore to be the executive resident coach for senior managers. It made me realize that coaching at the core of it is a deeply fulfilling experience, because what are you doing? You're helping people untangle knots in their heads, right? There are these, we have all these big thoughts between work and personal lives and kids or no kids or careers and, the daily commute or whatever. Our lives are just so busy, right? There's so much going on all the time. When you get a coach, that coach is helping you unravel and untangle. So that became a very deeply fulfilling experience for me. And then, as I was telling you, Manish, I started embracing coaching very differently. And I started teaching classes on leader as a coach. And then I started writing for it. And then one of these columns caught the eye of a wonderful editor, Penguin, and said, "We really like what you write." This was a column at the Mint, and it was called The Coaching Conundrum. There was a series of this. A lot of people would write to me saying, "What a fantastic column." And honestly, I was so taken aback by the feedback. And all these years while teaching and coaching, my husband used to tell me this. My professor at the University of Chicago said, "You should really write," but I didn't do anything about it until one fine day when Penguin called me and said, "We like your writing. And maybe this is time to take this voice, this and amplify this voice. You have a powerful message to give to the world, which is leaders should not just think of themselves as managers, they have to be coaches too. In fact, no leader can be a good leader or a good manager without being a coach. And that's what the book was about, right? So, in many ways, it was my experiences, but also the initiative of Penguin. Together, we decided there was a gap in the market. And this is a book that could benefit not just those in the corporate world, not just the young manager or the senior manager, but anyone, right? Whether you have your own fund or whether you have your own venture or whether you're a freelancer, anyone can embrace coaching as a life skill.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the book has really served its purpose, and people, uh, as you are saying, before you actually wrote the book, people were interested in your columns and they reached out to you. And even now, after publishing this book, I think we published it in 2021, and ever since there have been a lot of requests from different readers uh, to review the book or to actually bring out its paperback version, and you yourself have been getting an amazing response from
Till
your
today,
readers.
we're recording
Yeah,
for a book that's a couple of years old, but
yeah.
it
This
really
is
is very
also
alive.
absolutely, this is also testimony to the same fact. Yeah, so I'm absolutely glad that the book continues to do so well, and it's not just about the book doing well in terms of uh, commercials, but it's also about imparting knowledge and skills on readers, and I think that is what the purpose of today's conversation is also. I think the idea behind this conversation is to basically use your thoughts to help readers become better versions of themselves.
Yeah.
It's basically a learning exercise that we are doing here today. Uh, so, uh, so basically, my next question is related to this particular theme only. That in terms of learnings and outcomes, what do you think are the major learnings and outcomes Uh, of this book, of this entire exercise of writing the book, personally and also externally? I mean, when you talk about readers, what benefits they can get from the book, and personally also what you have learned after writing the book.
Yeah, it's a very profound question. Okay, so I think let's just rewind this track a little bit. When Penguin first commissioned the book was really, they said, "Oh, let's write this book for a young manager, someone
Hmm.
who's literally just transitioning into a leadership role and has people who work for him or her." And this is really about understanding how this individual can
Hmm.
coach and be that leader coach. So what happened was, it was great, but as I started to research the book and met a lot of other senior
Hmm.
leaders, not so senior leaders, met people in the field of sport and art and theater
Hmm.
and course, the corporate world, I realized there was something very interesting. It wasn't just about the fact that you have to be a super senior leader. And as
Hmm.
I said to you earlier, coaching, let's define coaching first, right? First,
Hmm.
let's define coaching the way I've defined it in the book as a leader, right? Is the act of helping someone become better. But how do you do that? You do that
Hmm.
by maximizing their current performance, but more importantly, their future potential, right? And you do
Hmm.
that with a series of self enabling conversations that are non directive in nature. So
Hmm.
essentially, you don't tell people what to do, right? You ask them.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the way our corporate landscape has been is that traditionally it's been command and control, right? Um,
Hmm.
you're a senior manager, you're very successful, you tell people ऐसे
Hmm.
करता हूँ अब आप ऐसे करिए, right? So it's
Hmm.
like my playbook. This is my playbook and I want you to sort of follow that playbook. It's not always malintention, but as employees we go to our managers, we seek solutions and
Hmm.
managers give us solutions, right? Because
Yeah.
that's also the way we are set up in schools and colleges. We reward
Hmm.
the individual who has all the answers. So we think there's
Hmm.
one way of doing things and we reward that person. When we become managers, we think it's our job to help others. Now, coaching is very counterintuitive. Coaching essentially says you don't give them answers, you help
Hmm.
them find their own answers. So you
Hmm.
ask. So that
Hmm.
world where we simply told people what to do started going away, has been going away because
Hmm.
the constructs have changed, right? COVID also showed us that no one person can have all the answers, right?
Hmm.
So think of that as a centerpiece. And the more you dwell in it, you realize coaching is a life skill. Whether you're a
Hmm.
freelance consultant, whether you're someone setting up your own venture, whether you're, someone who's really, really senior, or whether someone, who's not so senior, it doesn't matter. At the
Hmm.
end of the day, it's a life skill. The more you
Hmm.
ask people rather than telling them what to do, the more you will take them along in the journey.
Hmm.
Some of the organizations that have truly thrived during COVID are not
Hmm.
those where the CEOs had all the answers, right?
Hmm.
These are
Hmm.
organizations where the CEOs took
Hmm.
diverse opinions. They gave other people a voice. They asked for ideas, and those ideas can come
Hmm.
from anywhere. That's
Right.
coaching, right?
Right.
That's the whole premise of the book. And as you're rightly saying, the book has learnings for the readers,
Hmm.
and people write to you from Mexico to Pakistan to all sorts of
Yeah.
places, saying how
Yeah.
it's changed the world, and also for yourself. You realize that it's a deeply fulfilling experience because you discover in the process that coaching. There's no one way to coach, and
Hmm.
coaching really is about taking people higher. And I think that's a truly fulfilling one.
Yeah. I think, as you have rightly put, the times have changed, and now you don't need leaders who are just focused on commercials or numbers. Obviously, profit making is one of the goals of a profit making organization,
Sure.
but more importantly, in today's world, uh, a leader should take care of their teams, and as you said, it's the responsibility of the leader to lift their team members, to actually shine light on them so that they can actually reach higher heights. So I think that's the whole idea. So ultimately, I think, as you said, leadership is a journey, and you say it very often that it's a journey, and in the process you have to create more leaders. And I read, I think, in one of your presentations only, that a leader is not just by as to how many followers
Yeah.
he or she has, but basically by how many leaders he or she has created. So
And guess
basically
who
it's
said that?
about
Who said that? Mahatma Gandhi said that.
Mahatma Gandhi said that. Yeah, Mahatma Gandhi said that, and you
I just twisted
beautifully
the
captured
thing a little
you
bit. Yeah.
captured it in one of your, yeah, presentations. So
Yeah.
this is a very deep idea. It's a very profound idea, and I think uh, people managers, leaders, they should all think uh, along these lines. They should try to cultivate this leadership culture uh, within their teams. So absolutely, I think that's why this book picked up so well. I think people resonate with the theme of the book, and I'm sure readers will definitely will feel empowered after reading the book. I mean, those who have not read it already. Those
Yeah,
who
I
have
think
read it, they
you
have,
said it
I think,
quite
already.
nicely. You
Yeah.
know, Manish, when we started writing the book, in fact, one of the things I didn't mention was we were trying to define what makes a leader successful, right? We constantly try to do that.
Hmm.
And like I think you said that it was all about the financials.
Hmm.
But the concept, sort of what I call it your leadership capital, right?
Hmm.
How do you decide that someone is successful as a leader? And
Hmm.
once upon a time, it was, you're meeting your targets
Hmm.
quarterly, year on year. And we never really looked at any other facet of leadership. But
Right.
what
Right.
changed in the last decade or so
Hmm.
was, first there was this balanced scorecard that came about by these two professors from Harvard. And they said it has to be truly a balance between how
Hmm.
uh, you run your organization. So
Hmm.
slice it into four. It's about the financials. So that's your
Right.
financial.
Right.
But it's also about how you interact with those outside your organization, your
Hmm.
customers, your clients, your investors, right? That becomes
Right.
sort of your relational capital.
Right.
Then the processes and structure and governance, that
Hmm.
becomes the structural capital, how you organize
Yeah.
yourself, etc. And the last
Hmm.
piece, it's really the most important piece currently because they make all the difference, is your human capital, your people.
Hmm.
And this squarely falls. So increasingly, if you look at the Fortune 500 lists, if you see the best CEO list, it's not
Hmm.
organizations that are simply,
Yeah.
uh, leading the charge by
Hmm.
revenue. It's
Hmm.
organizations that have all of these things come together.
Hmm.
And at the core of that is the people, the innovation, the things that they do differently, how their
Hmm.
people are going places. And there's something to be said that organizations, and by that logic, leaders that succeed are those that take their people
Hmm.
along the journey.
Hmm. Hmm. No, yeah, yeah, I think that's very well said, Ruchira, and I think you have now really taken this to the entire theme to the next level, and I think ever since the book has come out, there is more awareness among people now, and I think I personally myself have met people, leaders who feel that this book has helped them tremendously, and now they actually look at their teams from a different perspective altogether. So I think we all need that change, and the book is bringing about that change. I can say that confidently. Another very important question that I would like to ask you is, is is that particular idea behind that 4C model, because you have that 4C model in the
Yeah,
book, and you say that that's the crux of the book.
yeah,
And I know the entire book is actually about about coaching and how it's a powerful tool
yeah, yeah,
to really achieve your
yeah.
leadership, or to do well on your leadership journey, and to really become a true leader. But what is the importance of this model, and why did you decide to create this model? Because this is your own IP capital.
Yeah.
You haven't copied anyone. You haven't referred to anyone. So copy obviously is basically a harsh word. You'd never do that. But you didn't even refer to
Can't do
any
it. Manish,
similar one.
I'm a para academic, which means I'm a practitioner academic, and all professors need to have some models in their books.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You straddle between academics and obviously professional commitments. But yeah, tell me about the
yeah.
model, and
So
why did it strike you?
it's an interesting one, right? So, like you're saying, my professor at Chicago booth, when he was looking at the first drafts of the book, said
Hmm.
it's a really well written book. It's coming out, but
Hmm.
you need that model, which is your own, like you're saying, which is my
Right.
IP, right?
Hmm.
And you know what, Manish, as I was writing the book, and obviously we had fleshed out the chapters, it was working well. There was one thing that was sort of missing, is that to try and explain to the reader, a first time reader who's not exposed to coaching, and even if you were, like I was a coach, right? Even
Hmm.
I struggled a little bit with the notion of very simply explaining to somebody that when you coach another individual or when you are getting coached, how
Hmm.
does it change your life? What is in
Hmm.
it for, right? It's very easy for me to say, oh, it'll help untap those reservoirs of creativity. Very nice
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
make you play to potential. It'll make you go higher. If you read these HR websites or coaching website, it says it'll help you get ROI when you hire a
Hmm.
coach.
Hmm.
So all very good things. But if I had to really tell you what it does, I wasn't getting the answer, right?
Hmm.
And the interesting thing is, I said I need to tell people what is coaching really doing for you, right? And I looked everywhere, as I was saying, but the answer came in a very sort of unconventional place. It was the Kung Fu Panda movie. My son was watching it. I've seen it now,
Mm,
I don't know how many times now, but I never paid attention. But as it
mm,
was passing and they were talking about, Master Shifu, and he says something which essentially says that the answer lies within you, right? That
mm,
is coaching. And that sort of made me think that the answers don't always have to come from books and journals. It can come from anywhere, right? These become
mm,
lessons. And that made me sort of think about very simply decoding what coaching does. And it's
mm,
called the 4C plus model, right? So 4C,
right.
it's not just
Mm,
four, it's the four cornerstones. So the first one is capability.
mm,
When you coach somebody, the first and foremost thing is you need to make the person more capable at his
right.
or her performance than she
Mm,
was before, right? Because otherwise it's not coaching. And capability
mm,
comes in many forms. The ability to do something better, to be more creative, to think of things differently, to
mm,
not
mm,
focus on quarter, but also look into the horizon, which is where the untapped potential, creativity, innovation comes in, right? What we call lateral
mm,
thinking. So that's the whole
mm,
subset of creativity, and that's
right.
what I talk about in
Mm,
that one. The
mm,
second piece, which actually is interesting because this is where I gave Penguin a hard time, is clarity. See,
yeah.
if you look at the book cover here, right? This is what
Mm,
beautiful cover that you guys designed after a lot of back and forth, right?
yeah.
This here, right? This is a big knot, right? Here,
Yeah.
big knot in our head, which is getting untangled. But it's not just
Mm,
getting untangled. If you see
mm,
the visual, the individual, there's an arrow that's going up, right?
yeah.
So you're untangling, but also you're making someone go higher.
Yeah.
So the second piece is clarity. And
Yeah.
what this diagram was showing you is you
Mm,
untangle, but you're not just a therapist, right?
mm,
You're helping in some sense, almost like color coding these different yarns. And then that gives a person the ability to see the problem more clearly, with the
right.
issue
Right.
at hand. And that gives
Right.
you clarity to go forward. But the
Mm,
answer lies in you, much like Kung Fu Panda.
mm,
But the
mm,
clarity comes from someone being able to help you with all these different scenarios. So you
right.
can take
Right.
so clarity. The
Mm,
third piece is, what we all, it's almost like a fad. We talk about it all to be self-aware. Consciousness.
mm,
You see,
consciousness.
a coach is like a mirror. So when you have a
Mm,
mirror in front of you, mirror will illuminate all the parts that are shining very bright. But a mirror can also show you parts that are not shining
mm,
so bright. And
yeah.
that's what a good coach for you gives you feedback on
Mm,
those hidden spots, blind
mm,
spots, hidden spots as we call them, right? That's consciousness, the third C. And the fourth C, which is even more relevant in case of your women leaders, is confidence. See,
mm,
sometimes we have the most competent and capable people,
mm,
but it's not about competence and capability sometimes. Sometimes it's our own belief in ourselves to go forward
mm,
that is
yeah.
what pulls us down. And it
Yeah.
happens so often with women, right? With
Absolutely. I
all that
agree. Yeah.
going on in their lives, they
Mm,
often get plagued by the imposter syndrome. They
mm,
think they're not good enough. A
yeah.
good coach can give them that self belief and that confidence. So, those are the four cornerstones. But the reason I say this four plus,
Mm,
you can't achieve these cornerstones
mm,
unless you build a culture of coaching, right? Where giving feedback but also receiving feedback becomes a norm in any organization, in any team.
mm,
And if you do that right, you can truly create an organization which is a coaching organization
mm,
where everybody
mm,
understands that creating more leaders
right.
becomes their role.
Mm, yeah. Very well said, Ruchira. So, do you think that a true leader uh, has to use this 4C model effectively in order to obviously become a true leader?
I think you can use any model. I mean, I'm not saying you have to use my model. I'm just saying you have to understand that today leadership is not leadership has many facets, right? But coaching is part and parcel of leadership. So if you're not coaching, then honestly you're not a good leader. You can find your own
Mm,
framework, you can find your own way to coach, but you have to constantly ask more and tell less. You have to understand that leadership is a it's a fine delicate balance between
mm,
sometimes teaching, sometimes
mm,
instructing, sometimes being directive when you need to be, but
right.
also being nurturing, and also
Mm,
sometimes being a hard taskmaster. But all of
mm,
this has to come from a place of love, where you
yeah.
want that person to go higher, where you want this person to
Right.
become the better or the best version of himself or herself.
Okay. So, so these are basically uncommon leaders. I mean, the people who practice this kind of leadership, they are uncommon leaders. And according to you, according to you, who are these uncommon leaders in today's world? Could you give me some examples?
Many, but I guess the several that
But
come to my
but
mind.
but,
But
but in fact, you can also give me the examples of those people with whom you have interacted at a personal level.
yeah, I mean, I think Sheryl Sandberg to me is
Mm.
perhaps someone who's been quite a role model, and I do think of her as an uncommon leader. She's endorsed the book, but more than that,
Yeah, she is.
I've seen how she has helped other women leaders. Right,
Mm.
that piece of I was talking to you about that confidence cornerstone. She
Yeah.
really, even with me, right, and I'd like to believe I'm in some way successful. And I wrote to her, and she was
Mm.
wonderful. She responded almost immediately, and
Mm.
she didn't give me any false hope. She said, I'll find the time." She didn't need to do
Mm.
that. "I'll read your book." And three
Mm.
weeks later, she gave me a fantastic quote, but
Mm.
she also endorsed the book. And
Mm.
her whole philosophy is leaning in, right? She's
Mm.
helping
Yeah.
showcase women and their talent. And she
Yeah.
did exactly that, right? She
Mm.
supported me. She supported so many
Mm.
other women in their journey.
Mm.
And to me, that's a truly uncommon thing, right? How many people with the kind of lives they lead and the billions that they make will find the time for somebody like that? So she's
Mm.
brilliant. Satya Nadella, I talk about Satya Nadella a lot in
Mm.
the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Truly rebuilt a broken Microsoft. Now it's one of the most valuable companies in the world,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
very different in 2014 when he inherited a completely toxic, broken organization. And
Mm.
a lot of what he's done is around the listening. He listened to everybody, no matter what your level in the organization was, and he
Mm.
supported these people. And they came with a framework that every leader has to follow. You have to be a
Mm.
role model. You have to be a teacher, but also you have to be a coach. It's a
Mm.
performance one, right? So
Right.
he's done that, and of course, there's so many people close at home who are
Mm.
fantastic, leaders. We have MS Dhoni for the cricket buffs. You
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
look at this fabulous coach who's, helping
Mm.
you sort of win
Yeah.
from the sidelines. He didn't need all the glory and the. So
Mm.
I think the world is full of great leaders and great
Right.
coaches. But we truly need to harness that
Mm.
ability, and we need to start coaching for people from the very beginning. We need to make them understand that coaching has to be a life skill.
Mm.
In schools and colleges and sports fields, the more we do that, the more leaders we will create who ask and don't tell.
But Ruchira, I think, and I agree with you. Coaching is absolutely important. It's critical. But for the uninitiated, and particularly for the people who are listening to us today, I mean, some of them may not be able to understand what exactly coaching is, even though you have explained it, because some people confuse coaching with mentoring. So,
It's a
would you
a
like
good
to
question.
differentiate between these two terms?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And to be very honest, not just uninitiated, I for the longest time used to, use mentoring and coaching interchangeably. But
Hmm.
there is a difference, like Manish is saying, and I think it's a good difference. It's a good time for us to talk about it. A mentor, think about a mentor as someone who's typically older, or if not
Hmm.
older, but someone who has a lot of life experience, who's been
Hmm.
there, who's done it. Now, this individual can come from anywhere. This person can be a family friend, this person can be an ex client, an ex boss, could be, anybody, an uncle, could even be, as I said, a family member. But these are people who know you really well. They believe
Hmm.
in you. You have credibility with them. And really, they want you to shine bright. They want you to succeed. But
Right.
what mentors do is they give you advice. This advice
Hmm.
is prescriptive in nature. They tell you what to
Hmm.
do. You go to
Hmm.
them because you trust them and they support you.
Hmm.
So it's like, it's like you're playing on the basketball or the football field,
Hmm.
and this
Hmm.
individual is watching you from the balcony and seeing
Hmm.
all the action and
Hmm.
then helping you with their guidance.
Hmm.
And they can sometimes stay with you through your life's journey, right?
Hmm.
But coaches are different. They are not
Hmm.
necessarily those that stay with you through your life's journey. They are here
Hmm.
and these
Hmm.
coaches will roll up their sleeves. So they will not
Hmm.
be watching the action from the balcony. They will be with you
Hmm.
on the dance floor. They'll
Hmm.
roll up their sleeves and they will give you real time feedback. So
Hmm.
these are typically and should be your manager, your manager's managers, or even a
Hmm.
colleague, right?
Hmm.
Because the feedback or the asking that they're doing is
Hmm.
right now, here, and in relation to
Hmm.
the domain of the industry, or
Hmm.
ideally the work that you do day to day. So that's
Hmm.
coaching. And they're not,
Hmm.
remember, they're not giving you advice. They are
Hmm.
making you, they are asking you powerful, challenging questions so
Hmm.
you can think for yourself, right? So
Yeah.
they're helping you get to that path, but they're not giving you the path. So
Right.
that's the difference. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm saying cultivate both in your life. Have
Hmm.
mentors who tell you what to do, but also really important to have coaches who ask you, who make you think for yourself, who challenge your thinking.
No, this is actually very good because I wanted to ask you this question for our audience, because as I said earlier, it becomes difficult for the common people to really understand the difference between these two seemingly
Yeah.
related terms. Yeah.
And
So
then,
yeah.
and to be fair, we still, and there's still sometimes the lines will blur, right? It's
Hmm.
not black and white all the
It's
time.
not
So,
black and white, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right. But now I think it will help our audience understand the true import of the word coaching. Yeah. Ruchira, how do you think that those people who are not, I mean, who are not leaders in terms of their designations or positions, but they still want to understand what leadership is, and they still want to inculcate the art of leadership in their day-to-day activities, professionally, personally, either way. Uh, so, what should do what should according to you
Mm,
uh, they do in order to obviously become a better version of themselves, and obviously to help others? They may not be in that position in terms of, I mean,
mm,
in terms of power and in terms of official designation,
mm.
but they still want to really help their colleagues, they help their friends. So do you think this book is for them also, or it is just only for the leaders, those who are actually doing those leadership roles?
Yeah. No, as I said earlier, and then, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, you can read the book absolutely. But I think, it's an interesting one. We have to start redefining what we mean by leadership, right? It doesn't have to be about a title. It doesn't have to be about people. Everyone is a good leader, and everyone should be strive to be a leader. If you're an independent contributor in any organization, if you're someone who doesn't have a team, if you're a consultant like me,
Mm.
you are someone who's, I met people who work in, let's say, even in a gym instructor, etc. These are all freelance professions, right? The gig economy, as we call it. We are all leaders, and how do we ensure that we go higher and we build ourselves, and while we take others along? I go back to that whole premise of asking, not telling, right? So I'll give you an example from my own life. Now, I'm a consultant, which means I often get hired by organizations to
Yeah,
come and ostensibly fix things, right?
yeah,
Organization redesign, cultural transformation. Now, I'm the expert. I'm getting paid money for it. I can easily go there and say, this is how it has to be done. This is how it has to be done. What will that do? That'll mean I'll come, I'll tell people what to do because I have expertise, and that'll be the end of it. But if I truly want to build a relationship with people in that organization, people who perhaps know a few things more than I do, I might know the methodology and the process, but they know have a lot of history and they have a lot of institutional knowledge. They've worked there. I could do this differently. I could lead by impact and influence. They don't report to me. But if I were to spend the time asking them more and telling less and saying, tell me how you think it should be done, if I took the time out to assimilate different views from people that I come into an organization, even though I'm supposedly the expert, what does that make me? It makes me not a better, just a better human being, but I think the outcome is good for everybody because we get diverse opinions. I get the ability to sift through all of these ideas, and they don't look at me as a rival or someone. We work together as a partnership, and I'm not somebody who, as I said to you, I don't even, they don't report to me, they don't have to report to me. So in the end, I think it's a win-win situation, and you can cultivate this coaching approach regardless of what you do, right? It's about asking more, telling less, taking people along in the journey, taking different opinions, giving people the time and the space to think for themselves rather than constantly imposing your views on them. That's coaching.
yeah. In fact, you uh, use this statement quite a lot. This phrase that one should ask the right questions. So I think anybody, by asking the right questions, can help uh, the others around them. I
Yeah,
think, and to that extent, one doesn't need to have any official leadership position. So
yeah,
even if you're not a leader in that sense of
yeah.
the term, or the definition of leadership, you can still help others.
Yeah, ask the right questions. And one thing I would add there, Manish, ask
Hmm.
open ended questions.
Open-ended.
Never,
Okay.
never ask questions where the answer is yes or no.
Hmm.
Were you late to office today? It's going to get the
Hmm.
person defensive, right? Uh,
Right. Right.
so make it positive, but more
Hmm.
importantly, keep it open ended so you give somebody the ability
Hmm.
to answer. Yeah, how
Hmm.
did it go with the client rather than saying that I heard there was a problem again. So see, I think when you want some people to have the ability to truly become their own people, give them the platform and ask them powerful but open-ended questions. I.e., the answer should not be yes or no.
Okay, I think this is a very good this is a very good observation, and this is a very good piece of advice also. So anybody who is willing to help others can actually use this. Yeah, I think this will be very helpful to our audience. So Ruchira, I think we have covered most of the major themes that the book contains. So any challenges that you faced? Because I think I wanted to ask this question earlier, but I refrained myself doing that because I wanted to focus on the core themes of the book. But now I
Yeah,
want to ask you a very personal question, and it is basically about writing, because most of the people who are here or some of the people who are here listening to us
yeah,
today may would
yeah,
may
yeah,
want to become
yeah,
writers. They
yeah,
may want to become authors. So could you please tell us a little bit about your writing journey? I know you
yeah.
started writing columns way back, and you have been writing regularly for prestigious uh, periodicals like HBR journals, prestigious journals as HBR. But but what piece of advice would you like to give uh, to our audience?
I'm going to read this out from my book. I remember Manish said, "Your acknowledgements are too much." They'll still be because I always acknowledge a lot of people, but I started with this, and I'm going to read it out to you all. So, American novelist A.L. Doctorow famously said, "Writing a novel is like driving a car at night. You can
Hmm.
only see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way." And building on this, there was, you should read her. She's lovely, Anne Lamott.
Hmm.
She says, "You don't have to see where you're going. You don't have to
Right.
see everything. You don't have to see your destination or everything you will pass along the way. You just have to see 2 or 3 feet ahead of you." And that's the process of writing. And sometimes it can be very, very lonely because you have all these ideas, you have all these things in your head, but you don't really know how far the destination is till you start putting all the building blocks. Every day something new will come to you. You will, you have a conversation with someone, it'll spark something in you. You're sleeping at night, you'll wake up and say, "Oh, I want to write about this." So the whole process can become sometimes very frustrating and also very, very lonely. So I guess all I will say to you is constantly have that circle of trust, have people who you can chat with. Have, in my case, I had lots of
Hmm.
fabulous publishers. I had Manish. But have
Hmm.
somebody who you can brainstorm with, who you can, who can help you, whether it's a research assistant, whether it's a
Hmm.
co-author, whether it's just a circle of, I had like some fantastic friends. I had 5 of them and they were from all different worlds. And I would keep sending me them my chapters and they would often come back and say, they would give me a lot of tough love, a lot of feedback, which you don't take personally because they want you
Hmm.
to shut. But you need to find your people. You need to
Hmm.
make sure that if this is something you really want to do, that you surround
Hmm.
yourself, and that there will be times when it'll all become really feels very hard and you want to quit. Don't, because
Hmm.
the end it all comes together. But you know that the journey is not it's never easy. It is like driving in the dark with your
Hmm.
headlights. You really can't see that distance. So here and
Hmm.
now, keep your spirits up,
Right.
keep yourself charged, keep yourself engaged, keep yourself surrounded by friends and happiness, and you'll get there.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderful, Ruchira. That's absolutely wonderful. I think you have inspired many budding authors here, and I'm sure I'll be receiving more proposals soon. No, thanks very much. Yeah, I think I would like to now end this conversation. But before ending it, I would just ask you one final question. If this is basically something uh, that I want to ask you at a personal level. So, one key takeaway from your book, one major key takeaway. We have discussed everything
Yeah.
related to the book, but one major key takeaway that our audience should take back home after today's conversation, and how they can actually use that theme, that element, that takeaway in their lives, so that they can actually better themselves.
Yeah, I think many sort of underlying themes, but they all come together. One, as I
Mm,
said, um, when you take somebody higher, you will elevate
mm,
yourself. When you shine the light on people, you shine brighter. But that is the whole premise
mm,
of it. But I
mm,
think also one thing to understand, and all of these
mm,
conversations that we've had about coaching, about
mm,
asking more, telling less,
mm,
one thing too we have to understand is that a good
mm,
leader coach has to
mm.
wear many hats. You have to
Right.
straddle many worlds. So don't
Mm,
think that just because coaching is all about asking questions, you stop
mm,
managing or you stop directing. You need to be discerning as a leader, and you need to know when to push and when to pull, i.e.,
mm,
when do you be directive, when do you teach, when do you instruct, and when do you coach. And
mm.
also remember that coaching can come in many forms. You
Yeah.
don't have to sit across the table and
Right.
ask good questions.
Mm,
Coaching
mm.
happens in corridors when you bump into somebody and give feedback. Coaching
Yeah.
happens when you give people visibility. Coaching happens when you take diverse opinions, right? Like
Mm,
COVID. One of the things the organizations that succeeded was high-end fashion garments pivoted towards masks, but that idea
mm,
didn't come from the CEO. Anyway, so long story short, as a leader, know when to ask, know when to tell, and be that leader that coaches
mm,
and takes others along in the journey, because coaching is your key to being that uncommon leader. And I wish all of you coach your way
mm.
to uncommon leadership.
No, thank you so much, Ruchira. Thank you so much. I think this message will resonate with everyone. And now I would like you to break the silence and the suspense on your next book. So, just in one line, I just want you to just tell us what exactly you are writing next, and
Yeah.
uh, when do you want this book to be out?
I want the book to be out tomorrow, but I can't, right? Because
Hmm,
Penguin is cracking the whip on me and we're already late.
hmm,
But I think I'll just tell you very simply what's happened in the last couple of years since the
hmm,
release of this book and a little bit of visibility and success is
hmm,
that people in podcasts, in
hmm,
forums, in public forums, in events have asked me this one question. And they've said that my book talks about leaders as coaches, right? That we coach others. We have colleagues, we have managers, we have bosses who should become those leader coaches. What if you don't have that one individual in your organization? What if you don't have that family friend, that colleague? If you don't have somebody in your corner who can lift you up when you have fallen down, how do you coach yourself? So I think I'm still working on the bigger construct, but book will be more about you coaching you to become the best version of yourself. So soon to know, you'll know more soon. So
hmm.
watch the space, I guess.
No, no, thank you so much. I think I just wanted you to break the silence for our readers and for the audience here today. Because going forward, I think we'll continue to educate our readers. We'll continue to actually bring some amazing piece of literature to help them grow. So I think that's the whole idea. But I now would like to thank everyone here today. Thank you, Ruchira, first of all, for this wonderful session, for sharing your valuable insights. And I'm sure this will definitely help all of us. I would like to thank the audience here today. Thank you so much for being patient with us. Thank you so much for listening to this conversation. I'm sure this will definitely help you. And in case you want to know more about the book, you want to read it, please feel free to reach out to us. And in case you want to buy books in bulk for educational purposes, please let us know. We'll try to give you the best possible discount, because it's ultimately about dissemination knowledge and scholarship. So we'll do that. Please let us know. And finally, I would like to thank the organizers for organizing this wonderful event. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, the Naher Jito Pukathon. And I would also like to thank the sponsors, the Rasoni Foundation, for coming up with this idea of book reading. And I'm sure this will help readers. This will actually create a kind of chain reaction among people, and it will help them read more, because this chain reaction will ultimately uh, lead to lead to an explosion
Mhm.
in the reading habit of people. This is my belief. So it will definitely help. So thank you so much for this great initiative. And I'm Manish again on behalf of Penguin Random House India. Thank you all today here for being with us. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank Manish. Thank you.